I have just arrived at the wall, and it only just occurred to me, because I cleared the side up here before I left home, it only just occurred to me that I've also moved everything under the bed. I had forgot about making sure that stuff was secure down there, but that's all held up incredibly well. So I don't think I need to worry too much about restraining those boxes. Nothing's come flying out. It was only as I was just going to get my climbing bag that I remembered about that. So, test successful. Right, I'm going to go climb for a bit. Although it looks busy in there, so I don't think I'm going to get to film much. We shall see. In the end, I didn't get much footage at the wall. I did have a play on this yellow though. I think I tried to do it a session or two back. I tried to pull onto it to see what it was like. Well, this time it actually felt pretty solid getting on that. I just need to figure out this top sequence of it, and I reckon that one can go. What it reads to me is you want the right hand where I try to go for, and then there's the yellow one next to it, so I think cross the left hand into that. I'm not sure. My instinct is to go from the right hand and then straight up to the top and ignore the right hold there. But that one I reckon I can get. It should be another 6 or 7 weeks before that's resets. That's all I got on Friday, and then Saturday, which is yesterday for me as recording this, there's another yellow that I decided to play on. I've tried this one several times before and got absolutely nowhere. I'm not even sure I managed to pull on to it before, at least not in a way that I could go for the next move. But for some reason this time it just went. I can't do that with that hand. It's more like it. I don't know, it just decided to go this time. I've got at least another 2 weeks before that's reset, maybe 3, so I'm going to focus on that for a bit, because I know I can get that one done. I just need to get the left foot up onto that big hold, the macro hold, and I think once I've done that, the rest of it shouldn't be too bad to get through. So yeah, that's gonna be next week's focus, I think, whenever I can get there. And I can give you a quick view here of what the holds that I'm starting on are actually like. So there's the foothold, which, you know, is a narrow ledge essentially. Got to get the placement right on that and leave room for the cross through. And then the handhold, which is basically just a thin rail. Yeah, this is a nice problem. I'm liking this one. And that's it. I think that's all I've recorded there. I went again today. Didn't climb. I just went to do my gym stuff today. Since I didn't do it yesterday, someone was using it. I thought I'd go back this morning, get that out. But climbing wise, it was busy. The kids club was on. And I climbed yesterday, climbed the day before. On the yellows as well, so I figured I'd give the fingers a rest. And that's it, that's all I got for you climbing wise. Now, as you can tell, we're back in the van. And yesterday, my wardrobe well, wardrobe case arrived. So I got that in. Back there. Oh, might not be light enough. Oh, there you go. 5 compartments. I've got my extra set of bedding in this one, towels in this one, and then I've got shorts, shirts, pants and socks. And then this blanket goes on top of that quite nicely. And yes, it does stay in place because I drove to the wall like that earlier. And then along the front I've managed to fit in some tissues, the mirror, a compass, nothing there, deodorants, Bluetooth speaker, torch, the mirror, that's a handy place for that. I've thought about sticking a mirror up there or something, but I don't know. It's not a priority. That's there, I can quickly get it out if I need to. I just need to remember to put it back. But yeah, that's it's an ideal place for that at the minute, but that is something to reflect on. What I also got was the reading light. So at the minute, just figuring out, well, I'm pretty much decided where it's going, just figuring out how it's going. So where it's going is in the middle there, so that I can swing it either side, and that will cover both of the front seats. I'm not going to show you here because I don't want to show the street. But that's my idea. It's going to go there. I'm just figuring out how to fasten it because what we've got here, we've got the headliner for the van, which is just a thin piece of board, and then the metal for what would be the roof in the low version. But in mine, that's the base that the shelf sits on. So I've looked at a few pieces of wood to try and fit in there, get an idea. Because my thinking is put a block of wood there, screw that through into the metal, and then attach the light to that. However, rather than put that little piece across there, it has occurred to me I still got a bunch of this left over from when I did the roof. I think I've got a piece that should be long enough. I don't have... No, this isn't from when I did the roof, because that was like 7-8 foot long ones. It's from when I did the cladding here, which I think were about 5 foot long. I've got a pack of that left, so I'm thinking that is just about the right width. Get and put that in there, but do it from here as one piece all along to there. And then if I wanted to, I could put a couple of lights in there. I could get like spotlights or something there, but I think that might look a little better, having the one piece along, then a little piece in the middle. All I've got to do is figure out what screws I used when we did the battening to drill into the metal. Because these panels here are actually screwed into some wooden beams that we put across. In fact, I can show you, I think if I've got the light right there, such as that. So yeah, that's what I'm currently looking at, and I think that's going to be this next week's job. So what's that covered? Climbing up the wall, doing my weights. I've decided I am going to drop down on the overhead press from 40 down to 30 next time. I think that's the only one I need to change. Climbing, workouts, the light. This storage down here is held up great whilst driving, not had any problems with that. I have, however, had a slight concern with the van this morning as I was driving to the wall. I just got off the A50 and a message came up on the dash saying check injectors, or check fuel injectors. And the service light came on along with that. And then it must have only been on about 20 seconds, maybe 30, and it had gone off again. So don't know what that was about. It didn't come on at all coming back home. So I'm not going to be concerned about that, but I am, for the time being, going to have to keep an eye out on if that comes up again. Other than that, she's felt fine driving. Fuel economy, I'm getting about 35 miles per gallon at the minute, which admittedly is a little low. I tend to get about 38 to 39. So I'll keep an eye on that as well, I think. Yeah, that covers all of that. I have turned the stabilisation back on this camera, because when I did the shots of driving with the camera looking through the cab, the first one, if you notice, it looks like it swivels a bit. That was not the rig, it was the settings on the camera, because what the Rocksteady does is it crops in a little bit in order to stabilise the footage, but because there was motion, it was picking that up and moving the image, which I think is why sometimes when I go to pick up the camera you actually see it swing a bit, because that's not me doing that, that's happening before I even touch the camera. But after doing that on the second clip of me driving, I'd turned it off to see if that's actually what that was, and that one was steady as anything on the rig. But I forgot to turn it back on, so I think it was the last video that opened with that sunset shot, sunrise shot rather. It was a nice shot, I like the colours on that. I was annoyed at how shaky it was and realised it's because I not turned the stabilisation back on. So yeah, that's why that was a bit jittery. Something to remember next time I switch between the rig and whatnot. I am at some point going to have to give the van a good vacuum out, which I think will entail taking all of that off, because that shaft needs vacuuming as well. So some point in the next month or so I'll give this a good clean out. Looks like we should have some dry days coming up, hopefully, unless it changes again. Right, I'm going to carry on seeing what I've got that I can fit this with. So I shall pick this back up sometime next week, and hopefully you get a bit more climbing footage in. I'll end this week here then. So thanks for watching. I'll be back next week.